first of all, right off the bat, what is she, and I'm sorry, but what is she doing? Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. This is a fucking, what are we, in Europe? You can't park like that. Honestly, this is, by the way, in California, this person's good. This is a good. Never go head first. You can only go head first if you've got 2 or 3 car lengths empty in front, and then you can back it up. Me, look at this.
All right, let's go, go, go!
Welcome to Cordkillers, our mission to report the intel from the front lines of the cord-cutting revolution so you, my friends, have the information you need to be able to watch what you want, when you want, where you want, on whatever device you want. I'm Tom Merritt.
Hey man, I'm Brian Brushwood, and I am sitting in awe of the now canceled, the short-lived, much like Firefly, taken before its time, Netflix Live, starring Will Arnett giving commentary of the most inane garbage. It was hypnotic, Tom. It was amazing. And what's funny is, yes, it probably was just an April Fool's prank, but there are calls from the public where people are saying, it's perfect, just please, a whole season of just Will Arnett commenting angrily on strange clip art.
I'm sorry I bailed on it now. I watched a few seconds, got the idea, said, oh, funny April Fool's joke, and went along. But I know our guest today watched a little more than I did. Mike Range, a.k.a. Movie League Mike, author of Crumb Dumb and the monthly Tech Views at dailytechnewsshow.com. Welcome to Cordkillers.
Hello, gentlemen. Nice to be on. Thanks for asking.
Oh, dude, absolutely. And thank you for rescheduling as well. But more importantly, how much of the Netflix Live did you watch?
I only saw about maybe 5 or 10 minutes, but now I'm hoping it's on past the weekend because I do want to go back and catch more of it.
Well, what they did was when they took it down, they announced it was canceled, but they replaced the title with a totally different file, which is just the exact same video with the word canceled bannered across it. So you could enjoy the entire thing.
All right.
Well, maybe Netflix will bring it back.
Yeah. Maybe Yahoo Movies will.
Oh, you mean Oath Movies or whatever, because that just broke like an hour ago that Yahoo and AOL are going to be combined when that deal closes under a new name called Oath.
Oath, because they both have kept their oath to their shareholders.
We make an oath that we'll have no more hacks. Something like that. Let's move along to our primary target. Or is it target? Sources tell Bloomberg that Verizon, speaking of Verizon, has been buying streaming rights to TV networks for an online TV service. Of course, Verizon already has the rights to TV networks for its Verizon Fios service, but this package would supposedly have a few dozen channels. It'd be one of those so-called skinny bundles that body shame cable packages. Would go on sale this summer. And in fact, CBS previously said its contract extension for Verizon Fios included future digital platforms. So CBS would presumably be part of that.
So yes, Verizon has long-standing commitments with all of these different. They have relationships with all these guys.
Yeah, they have relationships. They got a talking point. They can start a conversation.
Correct. But does that uniquely position them to do something that we haven't seen before? I mean, outside of the ability to have all of these guys take their phone calls, is there some kind of magic to Verizon's touch that makes you think that they'll be able to do something that PlayStation View hasn't been able to do, that Sling hasn't been able to do, that any of the over-the-top bundles have? What say you, Mike?
I mean, from my perspective, the more of these, the better. Because then they start competing and pushing each other around and reducing the price. But that would be my guess. If they're only going to have a dozen or so channels, that this is going to be a super cheap, the skinniest of bundles, if you will. Mike, what do you make of all of these different services?
The more the better. It doesn't matter. I mean, it'd be great if they come up with something new that sets them apart, so you have a distinguishing factor among them. But just get as many out there as possible. I think we're entering an orgy of skinny bundles. It's the eyes wide shut era of streaming, and we get to be promiscuous. You can give Sling a whirl, move on to View, get wild and have DirecTV and Verizon at the same time. And is it getting hot in here? But no, I mean, just it's competition, you know.
I killed so many cords this weekend.
Exactly. We just the more the better.
So I'm trying to think of any kind of out of the box offerings they can bring to the table. And one of the wild thoughts, and there's no reason to suspect that anyone will do this, but you know, we've talked before about how studies show that people really only watch 5 channels, right? The problem is that none of us want the same 5 channels. Wouldn't it be great? Like I would pay upwards of like $60 or $70 for a so-called skinny bundle if it was truly like a Chinese buffet and it was like, here's all the channels, pick 5. And now granted, it would be a very expensive solution compared to something like a Sling or a View, but that sense of control would make me and then if part of the agreement is, you know, you want to switch anytime, just switch to the other ones. And then, but at any given time, you're only going to have 5 channels, but they'll be the 5 channels you want the most. That would be amazing and revolutionary. I got to tell you, Tom, relationships in existence or no, I don't know what Verizon has that to offer much different than we've already seen.
Well, we don't know what their offering is, so we can't rightly compare it yet, right? They're talking about a few dozen channels, so it's going to be small. The things that I could see them try to do, maybe if they have a little more leverage, is all channels available on all platforms with all DVR capability available on all platforms, because PlayStation View, you got 28-day limit. Sling TV, you can DVR some things, but not others. Sling TV is available on all platforms. PlayStation View is like, well, we're not available on all platforms, but you can log into the network apps on all platforms. So something that's just even more simplistic that says, look, you just get everything. You get it all, and you can record whatever you want. Boom, done. I think that could be compelling. But again, I don't know that as a consumer, I care, as long as it's competitive, as long as it gives me some sense of comparison that I can move towards, and it could be just price. If it's $10 a month for 24 channels, that's compelling.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I don't know, and forgive me. It's you know, yes, I am 100% excited to have another competitor in the market. That's nothing but good to get them all fighting against each other, trying to outperform, but. You know, this is our 7th, 8th ride on this roller coaster.
Well, it'll only be the 4th. Only be the 4th. We've talked about Hulu and YouTube, but they don't have dates yet.
Correct. Okay. Yes. All right. So, your 4th or 6th, depending on how you want to count it.
Listen, Brian, I think what you're saying is, hey, we actually have some competition. So it's not enough to just bring to the market, Verizon. You got to wow me.
I guess that's what it is. I guess I'm like, why are you even trying unless you have something truly exceptional? And of course, the answer is it's an emerging market that's only going to get bigger and bigger. And even if you're late to the party, even if you're an also-ran, there's still expanding market share. They're laying on the ground to be picked up. So it makes sense. Sadly, I guess that's why I'm skeptical, is because it makes sense for Verizon to half-ass this. If I'm Verizon, even being late to the party, knowing this is an expanding market, I don't see why Verizon would bother to make this good or exceptional or extraordinary or different from what everyone else is doing, because they're going to get market share no matter what, because they have the install base. They're able to reach out to current customers who are, this could be just a preventative measure to where whenever somebody calls and says, I want to cancel Verizon, they're able to say, well, why? They're like, because I'm going to watch my stuff online. Oh, don't you know, Mr. Prospect? You're able to get all of the stuff for $50, even though it's more expensive than the other offerings. You could get it all online just the way you want. And I'm skeptical and jaded, and I feel like that's where they're headed with this. And I'm not expecting anything out of the ordinary.
Mike, are you on the rosy Pollyanna side of the street with me, or the skeptical, I don't know, Verizon, what's in it for me side with Brian?
I'm a little more toward Tom's side. Because like I said, just that there's another competitor in the market is enough for me. Hopefully, I mean, already prices aren't crazy, I don't think, on average across these things. But if it only brings prices down across these different bundles, then I think that makes it worthwhile.
Well, and we've already seen an example of this with DirecTV Now, and so far you remain underwhelmed with its performance, right, Tom?
You know what? I have until this weekend. I was watching MLB Network on DirecTV Now because I have a subscription to DirecTV Now simply because of this show, so I can go back and test it. Because otherwise I could just upgrade my PlayStation Vue subscription to include the MLB Network, and it worked fine. I was able to just watch MLB Network. I even flipped it over to Fox Sports West to watch the Angels game on Saturday. It was fine. Angels Dodgers game, but it worked. I think they've worked out a lot of their kinks. Now that was one day, obviously, but I still waiting for them to roll out their DVR service. But remember, Sling had a lot of problems. We talked about them on the stove. PlayStation had a lot of problems. So DirecTV Now may be smoothing out. We'll see.
Had it been a while since you used it, Tom?
Yeah, it had.
Because I did the same. I got it for the free Apple TV, so I paid for the 3 months. And when I first started it, it was miserable. It was buffering constantly, and it was almost unusable. But within, I'd say probably the last month, it's been a whole lot better. I don't know the last time it stopped to buffer. And I don't know for sure if it's just an improvement in the service, or it could be the switch from originally I had it on Fire Stick, and then I started on the Apple TV, and that's pretty concurrent with when it got better. But I mean, it's no buffering at all. It's actually improved quite a bit, I think.
Yeah, I didn't have any issues with it this weekend, and I had problems with it on the Apple TV previously. So
no.
And DirecTV Now, that what is that situation on the DVR? Is that a cloud DVR for everything, or
no DVR coming soon?
Killing me.
Yeah, I know.
And not on the Roku yet, which they just pushed that back. It was supposed to be this month, I think, on the Roku, and now they have no date.
But free HBO for a year.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you know what we can say, though, about Verizon is they're not too early to the game like Brian and I were when we would try to do this show years ago, or a version of it, and the only stories were about Netflix. But thanks to you guys, we've been able to persevere throughout the years, continue on to a point where there is lots of news to talk about, and we keep bringing it to you because you want it and support it and give a little value back to the show at patreon.com/Cordkillers.
Yeah, man, 1,724 of you guys keeping us loud, live, and independent, and we could not be more thankful. Thank you guys so very, very much.
Thank you. And to show our thanks, we'll keep doing the show with How to Watch.
One day I want us to be disappointed and just end the show right there. It's like, you know what? Not enough love.
Not enough. Reuters sources tell it that Comcast is going to roll out its own streaming-only TV service called Xfinity Instant TV. Prices will range depending on the package between $15 and $40 a month, include major broadcast channels, sports channels like ESPN, Spanish language channels, and that should be launching in the third quarter. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means sometimes after July, to any customer of Comcast broadband internet. If you remember, we talked about a Comcast Stream service that was being trialed in Boston and Chicago. So this is the nationwide rollout of that. But still, Brian, it's only to Comcast internet subscribers.
Yeah, man, I'd hate to say it, Tom, but I think throughout all of this, the biggest thorn in our side has been the obstinate way that through one side of its mouth, cable television has been, loudly barking that cord cutting isn't a thing, and the other side of its mouth quietly building up the transition thing, and all of the obfuscation and obstruction that they've been doing has been the right play. They've delayed long enough that we're just going to flip a switch and we're still going to be paying money to the cable guys, maybe a little bit less because now they don't have the overhead of boxes and all that stuff, but they got to figure out a way to make up those DVR rentals and so on. It annoys me that the frustrating way they've played the game up until this point looks to me right now to have been exactly the right way to do it.
Well, but you were just criticizing Verizon for worrying that they were going to do exactly what Comcast is doing, which is only use it as an upsell for the cable company people, the people who are like, I think I'm going to cancel cable. Oh, well, what about our $15 internet only service?
Well, now keep in mind, that's not an upsell. That's a customer retention tactic, which is a different thing, right? Yeah. And I do think that. I think that's what all of them want. They are in the middle of manufacturing some kind of product. They're figuring out what can we hold back that will end up getting us the same monthly revenues that we have right now to make up for the fees. It's like the broadcast networks who have become too dependent on the rebroadcast fees for cable television. And now when people are trying to go over the air, they're like, well, we need this money now because we've gotten used to it. And that's what we're going to see, some kooky packages that we're all going to get annoyed with, and we're all going to end up still paying the same $150 a month.
Mike, do you think that's where we're headed? Brian's got a bleak view of our future today.
I'm wondering, why would they make it Comcast internet only? Because it seems like you're going to cannibalize your own customer base. Are you going to get enough new customers doing this to make up for the people that are going to drop from their regular cable package to this?
Well, here's what I suspect. I suspect there's two types of cable subscribers. There's mom and dad who just want cable the way it's always been. Those people aren't going anywhere. They'll continue to get the revenues from them. Then there's people who are either currently quitting or are about to quit to do things with over-the-top other services. And those are the people. It's like, look, man, they could either leave us for us, or they can leave us for someone else. So it might as well leave us for us, is what I suppose.
Yeah, I think that's right, especially because Comcast isn't worried about losing your internet business, because most of the time you don't have a choice at a Comcast market, right? They know they're going to have you for broadband, so they can, A, not lose you to someone else, B, possibly attract some folks who did cancel cable and are maybe not taken by Sling, or maybe think PlayStation Vue is too pricey, and come in with a $15 package and pick up a few subs that way.
Is there a reason to not make it available to everyone, though, and try to grab customers from areas Comcast isn't in?
I think that's the dog whistle, is they don't want it to be a success on its own. They want it to be an effective way for them to keep more of the revenues they already have. This is an insurance policy, I think. I think this is a way to hedge their bets. And let's say it's super popular. Then they get to reserve the right 6 months from now, or 6 months after launch, to say, oh, guess who's great? Us. Now everyone can have it. And
also, it's a lot easier to manage that video streaming quality when you own all the pipes it's on.
Yeah, and you're able to prioritize all the traffic accordingly. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they don't necessarily have to exempt it from your bandwidth cap, which they also might do, but they could still just, they're running it in-house, so they can make sure that stream is really good. Starting April 5th at 4 p.m. Eastern, Amazon is going to start running 3 of its spring pilots: Oasis, The Legend of Master Legend, and Budding Prospects, on repeat for 24 hours at twitch.tv/Twitch Presents. Also, the first Twitch Studio original will be coming out on April 7th at 5 p.m. Eastern. It's called Iron Sights and tells the story of big buck hunter champ Sarah Erlandson, making her way to the championships of the world in Austin, Texas for buck hunting. One of these makes a lot of sense to me, Brian, which is Amazon, which owns Twitch, saying, well, we show our pilots for free to everybody to see which ones people like. Why not stream them on Twitch, which we own? That's great. The other one, which is Twitch having an original about buck hunting. Nothing wrong with buck hunting. I just don't think of Twitch, the video game streaming platform, and buck hunting in the same.
It's Big Buck Hunter. It's the arcade game Big Buck Hunter.
Yeah.
Thank you for that missing piece of information.
Yeah.
Yes, and I agree. It is a synergy to have them distribute their own content through their own daughter network. It also is a good way to advertise to, because my guess is the Twitch community involves a lot of people who are not of an age to have Amazon Prime. But if this gets them addicted to it, gets them into it, lures them into the ecosystem. Look, man, essentially, Amazon is doing Twitch for the same reason we're doing Twitch. Twitch is a fantastic outreach platform that gets your stuff in front of people who otherwise would never see it. We are in a bubble at diamondclub.tv. They're in a bubble at amazon.com. Twitch is a great way to say, hey, world, check out our stuff, and maybe come into our clubhouse.
Mike, are you excited to see who wins the Big Buck Hunter World Championship?
Not as excited as you might think. I think Amazon, get it in front of as many people as you can. So great, put it on Twitch. But I'm kind of done with Amazon's pilot season in general. I remember watching Sneaky Pete during its pilot season, and it was great. But either it's not going to get picked up, and you're going to you wasted that time watching the pilot of something you're not going to see any more of, or it's going to come back on in a year, and you're going to have to watch it again to remember anything anyhow. So either way, you're burning that hour for pretty much no reason. So I'll wait till it's picked up.
Well, and that's the right game theory for folks like us who are busy and all that stuff. But there's no downside for Amazon to do it, because maybe you get some casual viewers who dip their toes in the water. You definitely get people who live, breathe this stuff, who just want to know everything and have input, and they get to watch everything happen organically, and essentially it just acts as advertisement for what they do.
Yeah, it's smart on Amazon's part.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a selection bias that will work its way in. Amazon doesn't do a pure democracy on its pilot season, but I wonder if that affects the quality of the data, because I had exactly the same thing with Sneaky Pete. I still haven't watched Sneaky Pete on Amazon, and I really like the pilot, and I would have started watching the rest of the series right then had it been available. But then I kind of forgot about it, and by the time it came out, I was busy with other things, and so I am not one who is as excited to watch pilots on Amazon anymore. Even though I used to.
So that's interesting. Do you think there's a churn rate that we're looking at where it's like people are going to burn out on participating?
Yeah, and if so, does that matter, or is Amazon just looking at it as a marketing plunk right now anyway? Which would make this move make sense? Which is like, yeah, let's just get that stuff in front of people. Well, there's plenty of things that you can watch right now on Amazon Prime and elsewhere. So let's talk about it in our Under Surveillance segment.
All about location. Under surveillance.
Speaking of Amazon Prime, they're going to bring back their All or Nothing documentary series for a second season. Last year, it followed the Arizona Cardinals through their NFL season, and this year it will follow the 2016 LA Rams through the 2016 season. They haven't given a release date on it yet, but that's the announcement, is it's coming back and it's about the Rams. I believe this is a conspiracy because they are only so far highlighting teams who formerly played in St. Louis.
Seems legit. Did any of you guys watch the first season of this?
No,
I didn't see it.
Oh, that's wild. I would have thought you would have been into that, Tom.
I'm not really an NFL fan the way I am for the baseballs.
Okay. Well, regardless, I think it's a smart move. It's good human drama, and it seems to be well regarded.
And now that it's the Rams, apparently of All or Nothing, it's Nothing's turn.
It'll only run for 2 seasons. So there we go. Or will we have the LA Chargers next season? That joke is just by saying the LA Chargers out loud. The Dark Tower release date has been moved again to August 4th, and the Emoji Movie moved to July 28th. They swapped dates. Sony showed preview footage at CinemaCon last week and got positive buzz from critics. And Sony says the move is the last time they're moving the Dark Tower. They promise, and it was only done to give the Emoji Movie more summertime play because they expect a larger kids audience.
Oh, I thought you see. Don't tell me that. Tell me it's because it's so good. You want to make sure to put even more marketing behind it. That's what you're supposed to say.
You mean for the Dark Tower?
Yeah.
Sony didn't say that, but that doesn't mean it's not true.
Well, there is buzz where it's like they're talking about trying to make it into a franchise, and we've talked before about the pipe dream of a really good Stephen King MCU or MC Marvel, Stephen King cinematic universe. But man, I just hope, just please be good, please be good, please be good. Thank you, Cy.
I think the surprise was that it was only bumped a week, because it looked to me, when I was looking at stuff for the movie draft, I found trailers for every movie except Dark Tower, and all they had was what looked like maybe a crew member snuck some footage with his cell phone.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. There's nothing out there. Apparently they showed something at CinemaCon a few days ago, but I haven't seen anything go up for us to see. And the whole thing scares me. The Dark Tower series was great, but I feel like it should be 7-8 episode seasons on Netflix. Yeah. I don't see how a movie and then maybe a prequel and maybe a mini series of something. It just scares me that they're not going to pull it off.
Keep in mind, and I don't think I'm spoiling anything, the nature of the Dark Tower story is such that this could be a self-contained 2-hour romp that could open up lots of series and miniseries and all that stuff. And in fact, there's a lot of that writing based on how this does, how hungry we are for this world. For those of you guys interested in the movie draft, that's what everyone's saying. They're saying, sure, they moved it, but how does that affect the movie draft? We just got word from the commissioner, T2T2, that rather than get a replacement movie, we will extend the movie draft by 1 week to allow for this.
Let's talk about things that actually do have trailers in our trailer park part of Under Surveillance, which is just my way of putting all the trailers together. Doctor Who has a trailer out for its new season coming back on April 15th. They even tease you with a little regeneration feeling finger thing, and he's still supposed to we're still supposed to get Peter Capaldi in the Christmas episode this year, so there's a lot of debate about that. A new trailer for Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales shows a crusty Orlando Bloom, comes to theaters on May 26th. Any Pirates thoughts on this?
Is he like undead in this one or something?
Well, he swapped places, spoiler alert, but he swapped places, and so now he is the Davy Jones boat, and Davy Jones had barnacles on him for breaking his oath, and so I guess this means he broke his oath.
Yeah, I didn't watch the last one.
Yo ho ho ho.
I think this is Dead Men Sell No Tickets.
Dead Men Sell. Okay, now do you really think that? Because the previous episodes, I mean, they've all been blockbusters. There's not a single one that's been a dog.
But they've dropped sharply the last two. Excuse me, like 100 million from one. Maybe I think from, I don't know how many there were, 3 to 4, and then another 60 from 4 to 5, if that's the right numbers. And this one, just looking at the trailer, I thought, maybe it's going to plateau where it was. I don't think it's going to crash that much again from the last one, but I don't see it necessarily reversing either. Although there are ghost sharks, so maybe.
Ghost sharks are bad. New trailer for Spider-Man Homecoming is out as well. That movie arrives in theaters July 7th, and the trailer features a lot of Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, probably unsurprisingly. Did you see the slash film theory that in so many ways this trailer mirrors the actual story of how Sony has been handling the Spider-Man franchise?
No, that's hilarious.
It's like you've got an overambitious Spider-Man trying to be epic. You have Robert Downey Jr. from the MCU pop in and say, "Hey, why don't you just be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man? Why don't you tone it down and just make it fun?" And then you have the ship of Sony torn asunder, and you have a Spider-Man trying to hold it back together. And the more you read, the more sense it starts to make. But it was not bad.
And the first teaser trailer of Game of Thrones shows a lot of walking and cold breath. It's not really a trailer. It's just 3 characters walking. Season 7 premieres July 16th on HBO.
Yeah, I haven't seen a single episode of Game of Thrones.
Wow.
But tell me if I have this right. Based on the trailer, I think the actual Game of Thrones is the slowest, most poorly planned game of musical chairs ever.
Could be.
Because that's what you see. You see these 3 guys,
kind of not
3
far
people,
off
take
in a way.
their time, get to a chair.
I gotta tell you, Mike, you're in for a treat. If you just want to dive in, like now's a good time. Yeah. I bet if you started now, you're gonna end up all the way caught up right in time for the last season.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm sure if I started watching it, I'd love it, but it's just one of those things that hit a blind spot and just didn't get to.
Exclusive breaking news: Movie League Mike has not seen any Game of Thrones episodes.
Hey, random side jag. We were talking to somebody about Westworld who had just watched it, and I asked around. The people who said they loved it universally, they were all people who binged it. And I think that, like looking back on it, you and I had a number of frustrations, Tom, about it, and I think that it might be an artifact of the week-to-week experience. I honestly wonder if we had just watched it straight through, if we wouldn't have found it a compelling meditation on the nature of humanity.
Yeah, and I still liked it better than you did. Or that's not right to say. I still had fewer frustrations than you did, but it took a while to get past them in both cases. Maybe that would have helped.
Yeah.
All right, what are we watching? We'll start with you, Mike. What's been on your screen lately?
I got caught up Expanse and Legion. Saw a few episodes of season 7 of Archer, which just got on Netflix ahead of season 8 coming out this week. Saw the season finale of The Walking Dead last night, and I don't want to step on Bryce's toes with On the Lookout, because he's probably going to let people know about this. But I'm midway through a series called Breaking Bad. Yeah, it's pretty good.
What's it about?
Teacher selling high school teacher that makes meth. It's crazy.
Kooky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know.
another
That sounds a little dark
blind
for me.
spot for quite a while, and now I finally got rolling on it, and yeah, it's great. Although it's having watched BoJack Horseman first, it takes a while to start taking Jesse Pinkman seriously.
Oh, well, because he starts off playing the same character as the guy in BoJack Horseman. Yeah.
Essentially. Brian, what have you been looking at?
A lot of the same. The Expanse, Legion. We'll talk about those. Watched the Rick and Morty reverse April Fool's prank. What the best April Fool's Day in the history of the internet.
That's what you do. I mean, actually, the Netflix live one isn't bad either, but just give us something fun.
Yeah, right. And then the today. Oh, and I did watch most of Netflix Live, which we talked about. And today I started watching OJ Made in America, which is available to stream on Hulu. It's long, man. It's 3 2-hour movies. It's a complete miniseries film event. It is a documentary film, and I've only gotten through the first episode, but it does a fantastic job of telling you the story of OJ up to the murder, but more importantly, setting the tone of what life was like in LA after the recent riots and the Rodney King and all of that stuff. Like, you feel the powder keg. Like, it does a good job of reminding you that trial did not happen in a vacuum. And when you have a sense of the context, I could tell I'm already primed to understand an awful lot more about the trial going forward. Really enjoying it.
Myself, been watching a lot of what you guys did. The Expanse, Rick and Morty, The Magicians is still on my screen, and I'm starting to feel like it is a rock block on Sci-Fi on Wednesdays with The Expanse and The Magicians. It's sword and laser, like literally, with those two back to back. So I'm kind of loving that, and even sometimes I'll watch them the next day because they're on a little late live here, at least The Expanse is, and I'll still watch it back to back because I just love that peanut butter and chocolate marriage that they've got going on with those two shows. Bryce, what are you on the lookout for?
Well, now that I can't tell people about this little show called Breaking Bad,
oh man,
no, I wanted to talk to you guys about a new Netflix series that came out. I want to say in the past week or so, called 13 Reasons Why. You guys heard about this? This is I believe it was a young adult novel, originally going to be a film turned into a series on Netflix. Have any of you guys started seeing
I got
this?
nothing.
It's about it starts off with a girl in high school who has committed suicide. The very first shot is like the memorial of her locker where people have put photos and stuff. And this guy, Clay, who kind of knows her, is kind of friendly with her, though the exact nature of their relationship is not totally understood at the very beginning, receives this package full of cassette tapes. And he turns it on and he listens, and it's the girl who killed herself narrating stories from her life leading up to her suicide, and with these very cryptic rules. You have to listen to this. There's a map. You can go to these locations that I'm talking about. A lot of people have heard these, and when you're done, you have to give them to the next person in line. Like, it's a weird mystery. I thought this would be kind of hokey and be very like teen,
drama,
teen drama and angst or just bad storytelling. And I think just from the pilot that I saw today, I actually think it's pretty good. It's also from the same company, Anonymous Content, who worked on Mr. Robot and the OA, and I think that level of mystery, at least in the first episode, is pretty apparent. So I think that's really cool. That's 13 Reasons Why. That's on Netflix now. There are 13 episodes, and from what I understand, it is a complete series.
So it's a curious artifact that they are using cassette tapes. This takes place in modern day, and that's just an odd choice.
It supposedly that might be a part of it. there's an interesting moment when she's explaining the whole thing, and she's like, I've given you this map. There's no Google Maps to distract you. Or it's a weird thing because part of the teenage experience is like the spread of information in a local environment. But then the idea, here's this media that you're not supposed to share and is not gonna spread. So that also kind of plays into the mystery of like, well, what is so salacious on these tapes that these people maybe don't already know? But I think it's pretty cool. And I'll probably check the rest of it out, certainly.
Awesome.
Well, if you got something we should be on the lookout for to add to the list, email us, cordkillers@gmail.com. Meanwhile, here are 13 reasons why you should support Brian's other ventures.
Yeah, man. We do a whole bunch of different shows. We mentioned, I think a couple weeks ago, that the latest episode of The Modern Rogue was experiencing a bump, and that bump has come and gone. But I'll tell you what, every time we get one of those bumps, the baseline gets a little bit higher. We're now up a little up over 250,000 subscribers. And the latest episode of The Modern Rogue is like 17 minutes explaining all the fundamentals of whiskey. And we have Daniel Whittington, the vice chancellor and co-founder of the whiskey marketing school at Wizard Academy. This guy is so cool because one of their core tenets is to strip away the pretension of whiskey. The best type of whiskey is whiskey you like. And we explore the different types. We learn what some of the different names are. If you, like me, just kind of get a little glass-eyed at the moment somebody says whiskey and you feel intimidated, this is a great, great primer.
How I get a little glass-eyed after having whiskey.
Yeah, absolutely. Have whiskey while you're watching it.
It's youtube.com/modernrogue.
Oh, yeah.
So
I should probably mention where it is.
Kind of a plug moment.
Yeah,
whatever.
youtube.com/modernrogue. Please subscribe. We need all the subscribers we can get.
Go, drink, enjoy, while we head to the front lines.
Front lines!
Recode has got some sources again that tell it Apple is out there pitching a new TV deal. This one would bundle HBO, Showtime, and Starz in one discounted price, potentially accessible in a standalone product, is the way Recode put it. That means, in other words, you wouldn't just be able to go into the HBO Now and Showtime and Starz apps. You could get them combined. My guess would be in the TV app that Apple has on its iOS and Apple TV devices. The three services are currently sold separately by Apple right now for a combined $35 a month. So any deal that they had for this skinniest of bundles would have to be less than $35 a month.
Mike, do you feel like this is a case of, not that they're the ones crying, this is reporting about their stuff from sources familiar with the matter, but do you get a kind of a boy who cried wolf vibe on this? Because I certainly am like, all right, here we go again. This time you're going to get it right, you swear.
Well, it's a small package anyhow. If they're going to do it, I guess you start this small, there's less things that go wrong. But I'm curious how much they will discount it to make that worthwhile. People, how many people want all three of those necessarily? I feel like it's got to go 25 or under, and I mean that wouldn't be low enough for me, but yeah, I'm curious about that.
Yeah, you might be able to get me.
They already work with all three of these folks, so they have the relationship, they have the agreements. It's just a matter of price. Then maybe they're thinking they can build this into something attractive to others that might go standalone, and then boom, stealth, in a couple of years, they've got a full-on TV service.
I could see that. Meanwhile, Windows Central notes Netflix's option for offline viewing of select content is now available in the Windows 10 Netflix app. The update began rolling out to Windows 10 users through the Windows Store, though updates to the Windows 10 mobile and Xbox version of the app have yet to appear. So, I mean, again, I know there's somebody out there just jumping for joy. I'm just not that guy.
Yeah, if you have a Windows 10 laptop or tablet that you take on planes all the time, then yeah, sure, this is going to be good for you. Yeah. Security consultant Raphael Shield demonstrated a proof of concept exploit that would allow someone to take control of a smart TV using a low-cost transmitter to send a malicious TV broadcast. And mind you, a bigger transmitter that could reach more TVs could also work if you could get a handle on it. The attack worked against two fully updated Samsung TVs by exploiting known security flaws in the web browsers of those TVs, and the attack was able to give root access, full control of the television. The television just had to be tuned to the right channel that had digital video broadcast. So again, it has to be the right TV with the right channel. This is just proof of concept. It's not out in the wild, but it does show, like, patch your browsers, people. Come on.
Yeah. Also, I love the fact that this story arrives just in time to be the actual living plot of the Rick and Morty episode. Like the idea that content can contain a virus that can take over the thing it's being streamed on. That's amazing. That's extraordinary.
Yeah. So, Mike, are you afraid to turn on your TV now?
Not afraid. I'm wondering whether malicious content is just code for two broke girls.
Meanwhile, Netflix's first animated feature film, America, the motion picture, will be an R-rated comedic take on the founding of the United States. Archer's Adam Reed and Matt Thompson will lead the production team, and Thompson will direct. The Expendables' Dave Callahan will write the script, and Phil Lord, Chris Miller, and Will Allegra from the Lego Movie will contribute. Channing Tatum will produce and voice George Washington. Nothing about this does not sound completely awesome.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Show me our country's real history.
I mean, if only these guys had a long pedigree of doing amazing animated features extending back all the way to the late 90s.
I kind of get the feeling that this could have been Archer season 8, and then they changed their mind. And
Like,
Archer season 8.
Just make him George Washington.
The revolution.
You see George Washington walking around like, "Mother, please."
We mentioned last week that NBC is, or maybe it was the week before, but I can't remember. But NBC is airing Saturday Night Live in all time zones. Well, NBC, finally getting the memo, announced it will broadcast events live regardless of time zone for the upcoming 2018 Winter Olympic Games in Pyeongchang, South Korea. NBC previously streamed all coverage live except for its prime time. Like, they'd gotten that close, but they still delayed the primetime broadcasts. They're not going to do that anymore. It's all going to be live.
Well, and if you think about it, the original reason for the delays was not to screw anyone over. The original reason for the delays is let's wait until America has gotten home from work,
right?
And we could get this in front of their eyeballs. And so likewise, now we
until mom has finished making the sloppy joes and put them on the table for the kids, right? Yeah, it's dated,
right? And so now nowadays that's not the way the world works. People want this running in a window while they're in the middle of coding or whatever.
No one eats sloppy joes.
That's right, man. Sloppy joes sound pretty good. Meanwhile, sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Sorry. I was just going to say, if the Olympics are taking place in a time zone far enough away, and there's nothing on in our prime time anyhow live, I don't think anything's really going to change. We're going to see the same thing prime time. They'll show it live during the day, and then they'll do their package of 85% figure skating and put that on in the evening. And
spoken like a true Eastern time zone resident who's never had the double insult of not only is it delayed, but also everyone on the East Coast gets to see the delayed version 3 hours before you. So this will be nice.
But everyone on the West Coast gets to go to bed tonight at 9 o'clock after the NCAA championship game's over.
Exactly. Now the Olympics will get the same thing.
Meanwhile, ESPN's Watch ESPN app, which lets subscribers to Sling TV, PS View, and such watch all the ESPN content in one place, has a couple of feature updates on the Apple TV. It will start playing one of its channels immediately upon logging in, which is smart. It also has a curated selection of on-demand video and some nice interface tweaks. The app also gives users a look at the miniseries We the Fans on April 9th, 2 days before broadcast.
Nice. It's good little feature updates there. All right, let's move on to some dispatches from the front. Chad in upstate South Carolina says, add me to the Fellowship of Cordkillers. I signed up for PlayStation View last week for a trial run and just worked up the nerve to call Charter Spectrum to cut off my TV service. They offered me a couple different discounts, but it wasn't near the savings I would have needed to stay. Not all is perfect as I'm losing access to local channels. Over-the-air signals are hit and miss where I live. Plus, I lament having to give up the wonderful interface of my TiVo Romeo. Yet, the extra $50 a month in my pocket will help ease that pain. Speaking of interfaces, for the PlayStation View app on Apple TV, does anyone know how to keep the on-screen menu from disappearing after only a few seconds? It's incredibly annoying, especially when you're not sure what you want to select. My workaround for that, Chad, is just keep moving the arrow button. It is kind of annoying, though.
Yeah, dude. Meanwhile, Kevin Hills writes in. He says, I am excited about the new Vudu UPC code ad feature. I have over 800 movies on Vudu, and 500 of them came from disc to digital at home feature. When doing it at home with the Blu-ray drive, you get 50% off when you do 10 or more. Also, when going from a Blu-ray to HD digital, it's only $2 before the discount. I love hearing them on Vudu because I don't have to worry about wear and tear. Oh, I love having them on Vudu because I don't have to worry about the wear and tear of disc or keeping them in alphabetical order. It also makes it easier to share with my parents. I bet the UPC code way is a lot more accurate. I love the show. I assume he means our show. And then on the flip side, or I guess also along with that, Tim adds, my curious mind wanted to see if a barcode from a picture of the Blu-ray cover online would also work, and it did. The barcode had to be a quality scan. A person could easily get 100 movies for $200 if they wanted to game the system here. Keep up the good work, Tim. Yeah, I would imagine you could just go surfing around eBay. I would guess that each UPC symbol could only be used once, maybe? Question mark?
Maybe, maybe not. The UPC codes are the same across.
That's right. They're not
serialized. It's going to do the
serialized.
location check. It's going to, I've heard people say this doesn't work too, so maybe it only works sometimes. Thing is, you're still spending money.
Yeah, I mean, you're giving them cash. I think on the ethical legal spectrum, it might be a violation of the terms and service, but I don't see anything unethical about it.
Well, you don't own the movie, but yeah. Sonny, who is a new patron, asks, I do have a question I wanted to ask regarding authenticating broadcast channels. I'm able to use my Sling TV credentials to authenticate certain apps like Watch ESPN. However, I haven't seen a way to authenticate any of the broadcast channels for antenna users. Occasionally, I'll miss a show and will try to watch it on that channel's Apple TV app or website. Many of them are now wanting you to authenticate provider credentials, which seems rather stupid since it's free broadcast TV. Seems like they should at least provide antenna usage as an option. Do you know of any way to do that? No. And this actually goes back to our earlier email of the guy who said, yeah, now I don't have over the air. What you can do is pay for Hulu. When you pay for Hulu, you get most of the major broadcast channels shows. CWTV is one exception, but CWTV has an app that you can watch for free. Can't skip the commercials, but it's free.
Yeah, I'll double down on the Hulu thing, and also this goes back to what we were talking about earlier about how over the years broadcasters have become reliant upon those retransmission fees, and they don't see those in that situation. Do you want to walk us through BioCal's recommendation, Tom?
Oh, sure. No, he just recommends a universal remote, the Intesit INT422 Universal Learning Remote. He found it on Amazon. It's a basic 4-in-1 remote. Comes pre-programmed to control a Roku, Apple TV, Xbox 360, and Media Center. Any of the device buttons that you don't want to use can be reprogrammed to control another device, and each individual button can be reprogrammed or moved. This is nice because a few of the buttons to control the Roku were in weird spots, so I just moved them to a different button. It also has some nice features like a quick launch button for Netflix and Amazon Video, and volume and mute punch through so they work in any mode. I've had this set up for about a month, and it has fully passed the wife test to the point that last night, out of the blue, she said, I really like this remote. Thank you for buying it, BioCal. She probably didn't call it BioCal, but she did say thank you for buying it. One of the best features is that it was only $26.
Nice.
The one downside is it is an infrared-only remote, so the Roku needs to be line of sight to work, but it's a small price to pay for the convenience of one remote.
Mikey C. writes us saying, hey guys, thanks for all the good info, but I have one request for the show. Most of the time when you talk about what we're watching, the viewers get an all-male perspective on the shows to watch. I was wondering if at least once a month that you could throw in a few things that your wives are watching. Since I was one who initiated this whole cord-cutting thing at our house, I feel like it's my responsibility to bring my wife some content that may not be my cup of tea, which is all sci-fi, science, and tech-oriented. I'm not saying that women don't like that stuff too, but they sometimes cast a wider net than I do. And you know what? I would extend that one step farther, Mikey. I think we could also report, in my case, on what my kids are watching. To that extent, they're watching Wildcrats, they're watching Octonauts, and still watching Voltron, and I think that's it. But Bonnie, basically, she doesn't watch a lot of TV. She only watches whatever I'm watching.
Yeah, that's kind of the same for Eileen. We watch a lot of the same shows. The things that she's been watching lately were Big Little Lies on HBO. And I don't talk about it, but we do watch The Voice. She watches it more closely than I do.
Every time I come over, The Voice is on.
Oh, yeah. No, she's always watching that. It's her second job. Mike, do you have any female compatriots you would like to out what things they watch?
My wife will watch some things that I don't, that not even necessarily that I don't want to, like Doctor Who. She got started on ahead of me, and it's something I haven't caught up on yet. Well, I'll see the occasional episode, and I like it a lot, but she is, really regular watching them, loves them. And there are a few other shows that like Bones and Grimm, few things that she'll watch without me, and I'm watching Breaking Bad without her finally. So there's a few, but most of the stuff we do tend to agree on. We'll watch together.
Oh, Grace and Frankie is another one that Eileen loves, that she watches without me. Paul followed up from Dayton again, thanking us for reading his email about subtitle difficulties. He uses the Next PVR app to record video signals and Plex to play the video files back. He says he does remember a subtitle button on the Windows Media Center remote. In the new setup with Plex and Kodi, there are subtitle enabling buttons on the menu interface, but toggling those options does not bring up subtitles for him. I'm guessing that something in Next PVR is either not enabled or not working, and he hasn't found anything there which works either. So he thanks everybody for the thoughts and the suggestions, but particularly he's using Next PVR. So if anybody knows how to get subtitles working in that, let us know. Cordkillers@gmail.com.
Heck yeah. In the meantime, Mike Range, where can we see so much more of your lovely, lovely work?
You can follow me at Movie League Mike on Twitter. The Crumb Dum that I write for the movie draft is at Diamond Club's Reddit site. There's a Patreon for that if you'd like to see it a little more regularly, patreon.com/crumbdum. And I write a monthly blog for a site you may have heard of, dailytechnewsshow.com, where I cover stories that Tom has talked about during the month, which when I tell people that, they say, well, Tom already covered them. Why should I read what you have to say about him? Who do you think you are? And I have to say, Mom, chill. And then I explain, Tom teaches, I lie. So mine's based on, hopefully getting a few laughs out of what's happened in tech over the month. And
yeah, essentially, what I do is broccoli, and what Mike does is chocolate sauce. You decide which way you would rather have your tech news.
Couldn't it be butter? At least butter and broccoli go together.
It's a delicious salted and peppery broccoli, but Mike is still chocolate sauce.
All right. And Crumb Dum for the uninitiated is Chat Realm's unofficial, Chat Realm ridiculously unofficial movie draft update missive? Memo.
Yes.
Right on.
Go check it out, folks. Thank you again, Mike, for joining us. It's awesome.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. We're live on diamondclub.tv Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We'll cut all your cords when you're not looking.
Hey guys, Tom and Brian here. We just wanted to say thank you to all of our $5 patrons who keep us loud, live, and independent. You guys make Cordkillers the production that it is.
Your name appears in the video credits and appears in our hearts. And if you'd like to become one of them or see who they are, you can go to patreon.com/cordkillers.
You'll need to do more than just go there, though. You'll have to sign up and, pledge an amount. But
unless you just want to see who they are.
Well, I mean, you could gawk. That's a little creepy, isn't it?
If you want to be a gawker,
let's go.
It's up to you.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.